the very first one here is tell us a little bit about your background before your accident. Interests, hobbies, kind of like what you were doing at that time, just to like paint the picture of who Adam, Wayne, and Hanan were before those horrible days.
Is this going towards me or everybody?
It's going towards everyone, but if you want to start first, you can start, Adam.
I can start first.
Yeah.
No, I'm a fabricator. I'm a welder, and I like to ride motorcycles. Used to like to ride motorcycles. And that's how I lost my legs.
I know the whole detail.
And my daughter, she could tell you a lot too.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's hard to explain. I mean, it's been a long time and I've made a lot of progress. Mark helped me quite a bit. His foundation and everything, the van that we got. I'm still driving the van.
Good.
It has gone through us a lot.
It's had its use.
It's had its use.
Good.
We've been everywhere.
When I just asked the question, it's funny to think, the person that what I want you guys to answer is like pretty much a person that may not be here, because Adam, you don't ride motorcycles anymore. That's how you were hurt. I'm still Mark, how I've always been, but it's like the new normal. I mean, way different than how it was before.
Yeah. My prosthetics, I've had a lot of problems with them. I've had a lot of pains with the prosthetics. I don't know if I've got a heterotopic ossification called HO. It's a very difficult thing for my prosthetics anyway. I can walk in them, but it's very hard.
So most of the time you just don't wear prosthetics?
Yeah, a lot of the time I don't wear them. I don't know if it's the HO or if it's a nerve. On my right leg, I've got a lot of pain when I wear them. I've already had the HO ground down. So it's hard to, and I hate bugging the doctors and saying, hey, I need to come back. I need to come back. I need to come back. So,
what is HO, Adam?
It's a bone growth. It's if your bone is starting to grow back and it grows it could be grown the same way or a different way, but it pushes into your muscle.
Okay.
Yeah, Adam's legs are trying to grow back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Gosh, if it wasn't hard enough,
Yeah.
Hanan, do you want to tell us about?
Sure. So before my injury, which was in February, this past February was 9 years, I worked at the county auditor's office and the recorder's auditor's office. I worked in appraisal and at the Board of Revision. And right before my accident, I was laid off because a new auditor came along, and of course that's just how it is. And I was going to school at Tri-C, and I had just went and got my real estate license. And the day of my accident, the broker insisted on going out for a few drinks to celebrate for the the occasion of passing my test. And unfortunately, I left early enough and was driving. It was icy, and I did have a few drinks. I mean, I've had many before that, and I was just fine, but that was the day, and had a car accident. And it was a life-changing event. I became paralyzed from the chest down. And like they say, one door closes, many other ones open.
Always.
And my
always.
my spinal cord doctor insisted, he just thought I was very positive, and he always said, oh, you should volunteer. And I refused to volunteer because it took 2 years to really get to even accept it, to even go outside and be seen in the wheelchair. You know,
Yeah.
just that mind. I think we are really hard on ourselves more. I don't think people even care. And we, you know, I personally, that was my thing. I don't want to run into so and so and they're gonna think, oh, she's in the. But my main thing, I was very independent. I'm from a different country. I'm from Morocco. I didn't have family here. I have my brother and sister. They're busy doing their thing, but I traveled so much. That was my thing. I always loved traveling. I love, you know, learning new cultures, new food, anything new. I love doing. And when I did become paralyzed, honestly, that was one of my main things I worried about. How am I going to go visit my family back home, or even go to, you know, just for fun, go with my friends, go on a boat, little stuff like that. So, as I said, my doctor insisted that I volunteer, and I just didn't think that I was going to be a positive. How can I be a positive example when I don't feel 100% okay with it? And it took time. And I finally decided I will go. And I was referred to Metro Volunteer. You know, Mark knows. I mean, I think everybody knows about it here, but I hope they do. So,
There's
and
a
that
lot
was
of
the,
programs out there.
yeah, and that is an amazing program. And honestly, that is the first day I went to apply. It was that day when I met Mark first time. And as we're talking, I learned about his injury and his accident. And I'm thinking, he's so positive. I'm like, this guy is just like me. I mean, he really is so positive and so young. And I mean, he is an inspiration to me. He really is, just his attitude, everything about Mark. And he asked me, what is the thing I will miss most, or what are things that I was affected by so much with my accident?
Yeah.
And I told him about traveling was my main concern, because that's how you know, you miss family back home. It's so many things that you feel as an immigrant. And those were the things that I really did to loosen up and have fun and not think about or be sad and he said, well, you can do that. You can still do that. I said, nah, it's not that easy. You know, when you're in the wheelchair, you need so many adaptive equipments. And specifically, I explained to him exactly what I needed. And that's when he told me about his foundation. And he said,
Yeah.
well, why don't you just apply and see? Maybe you could be a recipient of a grant, and maybe who knows? And I was like, are you sure? Because that is very, very expensive. He's like, I really can't promise anything, but go ahead and do it. He gave me the info. I applied. I honestly never thought I would ever be able to travel because of it. It's I mean, it's not cheap to be handicapped or have a handicap. I hate saying I'm a
No,
handicap.
never.
It's so expensive. I don't know.
Yes.
They make it really hard, and I'm very fortunate. I don't want to complain or sound like, I'm very fortunate compared to so many other people that I see, but there are things that really are out of, you know, there's no way I could have afford it. And this equipment specifically costs thousands of dollars.
They're
A
out of
lot.
reach.
And yeah. And sure enough, a few months later, I get a phone call and, hey, you were a recipient of the grant, and you're gonna get your traveling chair that has the commode, the shower chair. It's basically everything that I need to be able to travel. And I couldn't believe it. And I'm just like, okay, these are proofs that even though horrible, traumatic things happen, God is always good, and God always put good people in my path. I'm very lucky, and Mark's and his family and his foundation is certainly one of them. And I'll forever be indebted. And I just love him, and I love his family. I'm happy to see him happy. And I'm happy when I hear there are things offer to other people. And it's just unbelievable. So it really helps having great people around. Yeah,
Yes, definitely.
absolutely.
Speaking of great people, that brings us to Wayne. Wayne, just tell us a little bit about yourself before your accident.
Well, that's a perfect segue right there. I tell you,
That was really good.
that's like, oh man, right there, I'm done. Just like, yeah, no, everybody have a good night.
No.
No, like Adam, an affection for motorcycles, which I always jokingly say turns out they're dangerous. Nobody ever told me.
Yep.
So yeah, the dreaded left turn in front of, and
Oh yeah, straight away even.
it's like, it's darkly funny, but whenever I run into somebody who's missing their left leg, you're like, oh, left turn in front of you. Like, yep, that was pretty much it.
Yep.
But yeah, so that was 2007. Took me a moment, the end of 2007. So it's been a few years now. But yeah, that took it was,
That was for your accident.
pardon me?
That was for your accident.
Correct. Yeah, 2007.
Yeah,
It's been a while now. So yeah, and sometimes I get tempted. My wife sent me a picture the other day, I think just to torture me. If I tried to buy it, she would disown me. But of a beautiful 1969 Triumph motorcycle, and I'm like, oh, I could surely still do it because evidently I'm a
Do
slow
it again.
learner. So I was like, well, we'll just not do that. Maybe I'll ride the one out front of a grocery store or some quarter. But yeah, but yeah, so that's what did it in 2007. And my wife was with me, and she was injured, and I tried to bring it up often because mine was much more visible in losing the leg, but she was injured far more seriously and many ways, but we're still here, and so that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, and we got a helicopter ride. I won't say it was free, to Metro Health after the accident, and we spent some time there, and then over to Prentice Rehab Center, and some time there, and they took care of us so well. That's what made me want to volunteer back at Metro for the same thing, and yeah, it's been a while, but we keep improving, keep getting better, and the thing I always jokingly say is that my prosthetics the only part of me that gets better every couple of years. The rest of me pretty well goes to hell, but that part keeps improving. So God bless.
Some of you have said it already, but and I know we're never going to be happy where we're at because we know what life was before our accidents. But how long did it take each of you to get to a place where you were, functioning on your own, where you felt okay with it? I know personally, kind of like what Hanan said, there was a point where I was able to be pretty independent, but I still didn't want to do certain things, like go out, in a wheelchair or in a place where I may need some help. But yeah, I'd probably say 2.5 years after my accident, I was in a place where I felt comfortable enough to do a lot of stuff on my own. And I think, or 1.5 years, and I was still using a cane at that point. But now I look back, I'm like, oh man, yeah, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be going through that entire thing. And I'm like, man, I really held myself back in a lot of areas. But yeah, we can start back with you, Adam. How long did it take you before you were functioning on your own?
I still use the chair. I can walk on the legs, but I've got a big problem with my I don't know if it's HO, the heterotopic ossification. When my right leg, I've got a lot of pain when I'm in it after an hour, and it hurts like crap. After an hour, it's just very painful, and then I get really winded, I mean, just like taking
You mean wounded?
winded.
What is
When
wounded?
when I take like maybe 50 feet to 100 feet, I get really winded. But I mean, they're coming along. It's been a while, yes. But
Yeah, always it's a lifelong challenge.
yes,
Living with
I mean, I can
injuries.
walk in them and everything, but it's always a challenge.
Yeah, what about you, Hanan?
From my end, I was always independent, and I thought and made a decision at the hospital that I was not going to live with anyone. I wanted to continue to live by myself. I was very fortunate with volunteering at Metro. It's not only volunteering, but in that office, it's a lot of help that is offered to you, just information. I mean, it's not everybody's lucky to have all the information that you need to live a good life, or but having people around you that are willing to give you just information I mean, let alone help you with things that you need is just beyond. I mean, it's just, I'm so grateful, but I live on my own, and I just try to separate because I have the handicap. My mind is still the same. I'm still the same, Hanan, and I still want to do the same things. And then my body is in so much pain, and it let me know, like, no, you can't. I mean, I
You're
live
an
with,
you're an inspiration.
oh, thank you.
You are. I mean, you are on your own, and you're doing all this.
Well, I mean, I have aides, luckily that come and help me, but I
Yeah.
do drive and I get out every day. Like
Good.
today, I went out, I got dressed, took a shower, got out, and I'm gonna do this, and this. And as soon as
Yeah.
I left the parking lot, my pain, because the rain is coming,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
when the weather's bad, the pain is like,
Yes.
I'm sure you all can relate.
Yes.
And instantly I knew that my plans were not gonna go as planned. And I literally went and run a couple errands for my parents and drove right back. And my mom's like, what are you doing here? It's not working. And that is the thing I really had to learn, is not go against what's happening. Like, don't
Yeah.
resist what's happening, because whatever, you can't control it. So
You still get the same pain? I get pain when it rains.
I get it 2 days ahead of time. I don't know why I have to
Yes.
get it 2 days ahead of time, but I do
Yes,
get it.
I do too.
Like, I don't mind it at this point, but can we just wait until it
Oh,
starts raining? Then I get it, and then we can get it.
It wakes me up at night. I'm jumping like, ow.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we can practically be some help to people who do
The weather people.
you know, weather. But you know, I mean,
Yeah.
but you just have, I mean, and that's what, you know, a lot of things I have to adjust, like the way I clean. It's not the way my aides clean, the way,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like, okay, you just have to, you know, my mom would come over and be like, well, your windows need to be done, and I'm like, yeah, what's important is me in this situation. It's not the windows
Oh,
are
that's
not
good.
this, you know. So I realized, and it took work. It took some
Oh yeah.
talking to a lot of people,
Yep.
some gurus, some, you know, some very positive, almost monk-like,
Yep.
to, you know.
Yep.
And then the one thing I really have to say is I was never a religious person, but I really got close to faith. And you just
Yes.
have to dig in so deep and
Yep.
find that place where you cannot be, because you really cannot go there. You simply cannot go to where you were before, or that thought was where I was before, where I did before. I just never think like that. So, and I'm grateful. So I'm very, very grateful. Yeah.
Good.
I think I got gypped. My amputations didn't come with weather predicting.
Oh,
Man,
You didn't
I
get Dick
get-
Goddard-itis. Yeah.
I get severe pains with my man.
Oh,
I
yeah.
hurt.
yeah. Yeah.
So Wayne, how about you? I know you had the you know, like a compound type of thing there with your wife also being injured. But how long did it take you to get to where you were functioning on your own? Actually, Wayne, did you have any upper body injuries, or was it just the leg?
No, well, it broke my arm in a few places, but it was pretty much the leg was all but severed below the knee, but they had to go above the knee to get rid of the oil and road matter. And the broken arm, but other than that, so that's why when the people always, were you wearing a helmet? Like, yeah, I don't have a leg helmet, so it wouldn't have mattered. So it's, but yeah, no, so and again, if you ask my wife now, she'd say I wasn't functioning before the accident. So the yeah, it was mercifully it was pretty quickly. The accident was in September, and going through Metro Health and rehab and all of that, and then I think I started getting fitted like in maybe January for a prosthesis, and mercifully being one leg. So I was back pretty quickly. I was attending University of Akron at the time. I missed the semester. It just started when the accident happened, but I was back the next semester, and I just went to class with a walker because I couldn't quite maneuver. I hadn't learned the prosthesis yet, but I so wanted to get back to whatever the devil was going to pass for normal. So it was using my walker to get to class and that sort of thing. And it's funny because at the time it was like, man, that's all I want to do. And now I think I would be like, I'm not going to class in a walker. How embarrassing! But it's funny how your perspective can go either direction. At the time, it was just get me moving forward, and now I think like, I don't know that I have the strength I did then. It's funny how that can it was just a long way around there, sort of a family circus cartoon going every which way. But yeah, pretty well. It was a relatively a short time before starting to try and figure like, okay, what is normal at this point, and adjusting. That was an awful lot of it.
I think one time I was volunteering with Wayne, we said we were going to write a book because there's so many like hidden tips and tricks to like, your disability.
Oh,
Like, I mean, obviously, Hanan, you don't have to worry about this because you don't have rubber feet, but putting on a shoe is ridiculously hard. No one ever tells you exactly how to put on a shoe. And one guy we were with, I think his name was Dennis, was saying how hard it was to put a shoe on his foot. And we're like, well, why don't you have a sock on? And he's like, why would I need a sock? It's not a real foot. Like, it really helps putting on a shoe if you have a sock to slide over. And he's sitting there, he's like, I never thought of that.
and it's really little things like that that make huge difference. It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Well, you can always write the book.
Yeah. So besides the book, Wayne, what did you wish you had during your hospital stay or rehab?
I think the nurses were kind. I got extra ice cream, so that was covered.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, it's like, oh sweet. It was probably what I was supposed to get, but they made it seem like they were on the sly, so I'd feel better. But yeah, no, in 2007 at least, information. I just, to go from very few fortunate souls or people entering the medical field have any idea what happens, like, oh, you lost a leg, like, oh well, I guess I get fitted for a prosthesis, they'll make a test socket, then they'll do this. Like, that's gibberish until you're there. And so I was like, not knowing what would happen, what was next. I remember asking, do I walk again? What happens? And the doctor was just like, oh yeah, you get a prosthesis. I'm like, I wish somebody would have told me like 2 weeks earlier, because I've been trying to figure life out. And so it really was information. And I think there's an assumption that people know as much as others do. And most of us don't. And until we have to know that. And then it's like, I need a crash course, no pun, right now. I need information. And that learning curve was a steep one to go from zero knowledge to what do I do? And to me, that was, once I started feeling comfortable enough to ask questions, and Adam, you were saying this, you don't want to bother doctors. Most of us, I think, are deferential to authority. We're like, they know more than me, I'll be quiet. And so
Yeah.
it's like, there's a reality of like, I don't understand. What do I do? What happens? And that was kind of the main reason I did want to volunteer at Metro, was so if somebody had a question, I could at least be like, oh no, that's, ballpark. I mean, rough ideas, but let you know, like, no, they can get you up and going. But it was a, not knowing that and being afraid to ask, and not just deferential, but afraid of the answer,
See, and
so
that's-
if it,
This is going good. Great. I'm just going to ask one more question, and then we can wrap it up. And this one's a good one because I think about this all the time. Being a volunteer, going to hospital rooms. What piece of advice would you give yourself if you could go back, right when you were beginning the journey of your recovery?
Push harder, but I'm always pushing harder.
Not too hard.
I know. That's hard to answer. I mean, you always got to push hard, but I mean, stay positive, and yeah, that one's a hard to answer. I mean, I'm always pushing positive, and what do you think?
What about you, Hanan?
I think I was so hard on myself on how I'm gonna look, how others are gonna perceive the wheelchair. And I would, if I can go back, I would tell my old self, don't worry about what anybody else thinks. This is just you and you alone. And also just enjoy, don't worry about the past, and don't worry too much about the future, because I am in no control. And enjoy every moment, because it's so easy to dwell on even just the pain, just my pain. I could be so it can easily make me miserable, but I just know not to, it's gonna get better. Like, just adjust my thinking, the process of my thoughts, and really that it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be absolutely okay, because God knows something I have no idea about. So, and I think we're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm sure, like Mark's injury is such a freak injury. Like, who was this? I mean, just we're alive for a reason, and I really do believe that. And hopefully, we can make the best of it. Yeah.
Wayne, piece of advice that you give yourself?
that one, I was glad you fed that question to me earlier, because I'm like, that's a tough one. Of all the tests in the world. But no, that one, the more I thought about it, and being more honest with myself than the Zoom here, trying to think of what would I have done. And I think I would have liked to have told myself some of the things we talked about, ask questions. Prosthesis isn't supposed to hurt. These sort of things that I just took like, well, those are givens, and they weren't. I think it would be reaching back to that handsome, thinner young Wayne would be just not lose the impetus or the drive I had then, because I can feel it ebb and flow. And like when it first happened, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna get back up. Like I said, I'm going to Home Depot, you know, jumping, figuring how to transfer to the wheelchair, going, getting what I need, asking people for help, coming home, doing things, and realize like I'm not staying in my house. And so much of that drive has kind of receded over the years, I guess, where on the one hand it's wonderful, on the other I've become comfortable, and not always in the best way. I guess we could say, instead of comfortable, maybe lazy might be a term that describes it better, where it's like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow, or no big deal, don't worry. Whereas when the accident and finally getting to go home and spending time and seeing, since my family's all out on the West Coast, getting to see them, it was like the drive was huge in me. Now it kind of is a lot less, you know, and that's something I would like to take my younger self and by the shoulders and shake, you know, and say, just try and keep that a little bit stronger. So that's probably one thing I would like to impart upon an impressionable young me.
Is everybody still happy?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Definitely, you gotta stay happy.
As we always say, this side of the dirt, I'm doing well. So that's
Man, I know it. Look at these girls.
And
right there, right there.